Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, here I am in Jamaica for this news broadcast. First off, before I start, I want to thank everybody for all their well wishes and concerns. I really do appreciate it. I see the surgeon on the Monday when I get back. So I get back Friday and then I see my surgeons on Monday and have another procedure being done on Tuesday as a checkup, a test. A normal one that I get, but yeah, thank you. I really do appreciate it, but I still have some news to cover. I'm still gonna do my job. Our first story is, well, Nassau, brand new cruise port area is, they say it's going to be ready in time for their opening ceremony. It was supposed to be originally open quite a while ago, but the pandemic obviously got in the way of all the construction and being able to get it done. But they say that they will be done shortly, and so much so that it will now be able to take in multiple Oasis and Icon class cruise ships, the largest cruise ships in the world, simultaneously. And they say it could double the amount of passengers coming on a single day into Nassau, making it one of the busiest cruise ports in the world, if not the busiest cruise port in the world. There is a downside, however. We do have some people are out there saying, hey, look, Nassau, right now, the way you're set up right now, you do not have enough for cruise passengers to do when you're there. They can go to, a couple places. You can get into Atlantis and things like that. Royal Caribbean is trying to build their own little mini private island on there. That'll give some passenger stuff to do. But right now, one of the drawbacks of Nassau is there's not a lot for everyone to do. And now can you imagine dumping 50% more passengers into that area? It just might not work out as best plans. Maybe you should expand things to do at the same time you're planning to bring in that many more cruise ships. I know it's great tax. It's, every passenger coming in has to pay that port fee and tax. So that's great revenue for, Nassau, but you got to give us something to do for us to want to get off the ship and go do it as well. Unfortunately, an 18-year-old passenger fell off a Costa cruise ship, the Toscana, I believe. People were sitting there having dinner, and they were watching out the dinner rescue boats go down, picking up the deceased passenger. Not a great news story. Again, there's an investigation being launched into what had happened. I've said it many, many times, nobody normally just falls off a cruise ship. You either jump off or pushed off, or you're climbing and doing something silly. Those are the reasons you fall off a cruise ship. It's almost impossible to literally fall off a cruise ship without doing one of those three things. And so we'll see what the investigation brings up. It's just, again, another important message out there. Always know where everybody is. If you're traveling with young teenagers, young people, make sure you know where they are as well. So this kind of story doesn't happen in your family. Not a great story. Another story that's going on around there right now is all the cruise lines that are lining up to go to appeals court because of the Cuba situation. Now, we all remember Cuba was opened up at one point. The United States could go. Canada's always been able to go. Other countries have been able to go. And then when they changed over to a different ruling party, they cut off Cuba. And there also was a law enacted that you could not use any building or company or facility that the Cuban government took over. And one of the things that the Cuban governments took over were all the cruise ports. Well, all the shipyards, they haven't had no choice, basically. If they wanted to go to Cuba, they had to basically use a cruise port. You can't just float out at sea and expect passengers to jump off and swim to shore. They had to use the cruise ports, and there were no other non-government owned cruise ports that they could go to. And now the federal government and the people who used to own the cruise ports are suing the cruise lines. They won, and now the cruise lines are lining up in appeals court because this is hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars of fines for the cruise lines. And it's one of those situations where when a government changes policies, it can affect everything. And you're in the middle of doing business and suddenly they say, oh yeah, by the way, that revenue stream you had before, you can't do. Kind of reminds you of the pandemic when they told you you couldn't go to work anymore. You couldn't go to the store. You couldn't go to the show. You can't do this because it's our policy that you don't do it. I don't fall on either side of those. I just let governments do their own thing, and I just try and live my life on a day-to-day basis. Also in the news, we've been talking about it, Galveston has been getting larger and larger ships. More and more different ships want to go there, and they're getting more and more cruise ships leaving from that area. It's becoming a very popular destination to leave from. I mean, if you're coming from the West Coast, it's much cheaper to fly into Galveston than it is into Florida or New York if you had to come that far to go on a cruise. So it's saving some people some flying money and things like that. So it's becoming a popular, I mean, they're going basically the same destinations. Why not jump on the ship quicker and in an area that's not inundated with multiple cruise ships? Just go on those. Well, another cruise line decided, you know what, that sounds like a great idea. We may like to home port there as well. And that cruise line is Princess Cruise Lines. They are now thinking of putting a ship in Galveston full time as well. Will it happen in time for 2024, 2025? A lot of wheeling and dealing has to come, a lot of negotiations, but with Princess bringing out the new Sun Princess shortly, and with all their ship itineraries, they definitely have room to add a new ship into Galveston as well. We'll see what happens. Also, they're talking about if you want to sail on the brand new Sun Princess and you don't want to fly to Europe, when are you going to be able to do it in North America? Well, apparently it's going to be a 14-day cruise in October of 2024. October of 2024. My birthday in 2024. Right after the group cruise. That sounds interesting, except I'm already going to be on the ship in February in Europe. But if I have a really good time and the ship really impresses me, there's no reason in the world I wouldn't be able to jump on another 14-day Caribbean cruise on the Sun Princess. Who knows? The ship may have me so excited that I really want to get back on it one more time. I guess we'll have to see. But yeah, that's a lot of stories in the news. Unfortunately, that gentleman who passed away on the Costa cruise ship. Good news, Nassau's got that brand new port. I just hope they bring in more facilities so people actually getting off the ship have a lot more things to do, a wider variety, and not inundated into some little areas that are really overcrowded with that many people coming in. You need to spread things out so people come away from Nassau going, well, that was a lot of fun. And if you do that, you can keep building more and more cruise ports, and more tourism is going to come to your city. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.